Hey, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be continuing the story time from last episode. It was about a girl named Sally, and well, the story gets kind of crazy at this point. So we left off on the part where she told me she had a boyfriend. And obviously, like I said, I had no idea. She never mentioned anything about it in the months that we were talking or anything. And then we had that little argument with me and the guy. Well, turns out the guy was a bit of a pushover with it. He refused to confront me after the fact. Like, we would see each other in the hallways because I eventually learned what he looked like because some friends showed me some pictures because they were in the same class together. They sneaked a few pictures. Creepy, I know, but they wanted me to be careful. But I genuinely had nothing to worry about. This guy, let's call him Max, was absolutely a pushover. I had nothing to worry about. So, at this point in time, Sally kept talking to me. She would block me, then she would unblock, talk to me. We'd get in an argument, she'd block me, and then that cycle repeated, I want to say close to 15 to 20 times. Absolutely insane. No matter what I did, no matter what events transpired, I was always blocked simply for the fact that Max didn't like it. But that comes to a really great question. Why does she keep coming back? And I hate to admit this, but I don't even know the answer to that. I have yet to ask Sally. Even to this day, we don't talk anymore, thankfully. I have yet to ask her about why she did the things she did, so I'm leaving it as is. I'm not going to say any more about it. Whatever happened, happened in the past. Like I said, that was 6 years ago. I've been away from high school for 2 years now. I'm currently a sophomore in college, so things are looking up. I'm not in any crazy amounts of drama anymore like I used to be back in the day, but to continue the story, she kept blocking and unblocking me, and we have a whole bunch of events. We would consistently skip school together. Junior year, second semester, first semester actually, I got my license. I finally got my part-time license and I got a parking pass so I could actually drive my car to school. And coincidentally, we all had parking spaces around each other. It was my best friend, her, and then me, and then a lot of other of my good friends all next to each other. This wasn't like a senior section or anything like that. We didn't Our school was too poor to afford any type of privileges to students. It was like, hey, you can park up here. All right, now get into school. That was it. We had no privileges whatsoever. But then that's where things kind of got hectic because we would skip school because I was driving to school. And whenever the school called my parents to be like, hey, your child didn't show up or they missed the period, my parents would never really take care of that. They were just like, oh, okay, whatever. Or they would straight up decline it because they knew it was the school. So I would consistently skip school with this girl. Constantly. It was kind of a wild ride. And then finally she stopped doing things. I should also point out that in this point in time, her and Max were no longer together. Max finally got done with the BS. Sally finally fixed herself where she was semi-loyal. She still isn't loyal to this day. She is still a leapfrog and will pretty much have sex with anybody on the planet. It's kind of upsetting for a college student. But I'm not going to get into that type of topic. You do what you want to do. Opinions are just that, opinions. Who cares? You want to go out and meet up with a bunch of people, whatever, who cares? But it's the simple fact that every time I tried to get into a relationship, she would come after me. She'd be like, "Oh, I really have feelings. Like, ooh, I don't approve of this girl. You don't need to be dating her. You need to be with some more like somebody like me." And that would really get on my nerves, and I would always fuss at her about it because, like, all right, whatever, I'll stop. Stupid decision, by the way. My God, never do that. If you're listening to this, do not ever let a girl tell you who you should and who you should not date unless they have proof and evidence to back it up. Never take their word for it because girls are jealous creatures. They will prowl on every single insecurity you have just to use you as a play toy. Not all girls are like that, obviously. Never think this one person will use. Never think one person's action is going to account for everyone of the same demographic. It's just, it does not work that way. But enough of all of that. That's my little rant, my little tangent. She kept doing this constantly, knowing how I felt about her. Obviously, even though everything had just went down, I still kinda had feelings at this point. They were really washed up. I didn't really care too much about her, thankfully, because if I did, I would still be in a bad spot. Never let one woman control anything you do. Always be your own person, be the bigger man, know when things are going wrong, and then leave. But with her, she was dating a really tall guy at the time. They were constantly on and off arguing. For the purpose of this story, let's call him Mason. So now we have three characters in here. We have Sally, which is the girl, Max, which was the ex-boyfriend, the one originally at the football field, and then Jason. Jason was the new guy, and she was constantly with Jason. Always with him, no matter where I looked, where I tried to hide from it, they were always together. She was either posting him on her story, they were together in the hallways, outside of work, whatever, outside of school, or wherever it may be. So finally, I got fed up with her, and I just said, you know what, I'm done. I'm not talking to you anymore. So that's what I did. I stopped responding to her text messages. After senior year, I graduated early. I technically graduated in 2019, but I was the class of 2020. And after graduation happened, I decided to straight up stop talking to anybody from high school. Had like one or two friends I would somewhat talk to any other day, but other than that, it wasn't really anything crazy. But then she came after me again out of nowhere. Mainly because I started a job at McDonald's, and everybody knows fast food is not the best place to work. But in my case, it was one of the best places around. They started you out at 8.25, which was 75 cents more than the minimum wage in my state. And then she just happened to be working there, so of course she was my trainer. So I kind of had to consistently keep talking to her. It was all fine and dandy because at the time I was just using her to get experience in the job so I can eventually leave and go to another store in the city. Which, thankfully, she left, but before she left, she met yet another guy that isn't Max or isn't Jason. For the purpose of this story, let's call him Russ. Russ was what I would consider a really good guy. Average looking, there was nothing really spectacular about him. He didn't really stand out whatsoever. But he stood up for me a few times at the store, and then we just became those acquaintances that knew each other but never really talked. After work, we would talk to each other maybe here and there, right when I was about to leave the parking lot. Whatever, I don't really care. But then some pretty serious things happened between Sally and Russ. I think I'm going to save that part for the next video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, leave a comment, whatever you feel like doing. It helps me out a lot. And I hope to see y'all in the next one. Peace out.